Welcome back to the Daily Rundown with me, still me, Tara Donnellan, and our brilliant guests, Stephen and Polly. So we're still talking Brexit here. The Liberal Democrats will fight the next general election with a pledge to take Britain back into the EU, claiming the referendum result was secured on the campaign of lies, backed Brexit into a howl of anger at out-of-touch politicians, but must be given the chance to rethink the decision, according to the Lib Dem leader Tim Farron. Cheap slogans of UKIP's Nigel Farage and Tories' Michael Gove are unravelling. The public will feel betrayed when promises on the NHS and immigration are not delivered. The party said the shock referendum result, the Lib Dems have recorded thousands of voters signing up to become members. So do we agree a second referendum is necessary, or is this an opportunist move by the Lib Dems? Okay, over to you two here in the studio.
The second referendum is a bad idea. Whether you believe it was started by a leaver or whether you believe it was started by an internet troll or blogger to try and get
Do you mean the online petition?
Yeah, the online petition. Yeah, the online petition to start for a second referendum.
Right, yeah, I thought you meant the original one.
No, sorry, no, yeah. The second referendum for me is a bad decision for one reason, for one main reason, and that is the people who can understand and who have fully formed opinions of how this will work will probably be able to understand what that means, and will probably be able to take on board that this is something we may need to talk about. However, in the absence of any kind of leadership, what we've created seems to be a vacuum where people who don't maybe have the fully formed opinions or a concept of abstract concepts like democracy in its sort of abstract concept, they tend not to like to argue. They tend to like to get violent, abusive, and sometimes quite
I feel like you're being very, very careful with your words here as well.
I'm saying, because I'm not one. I voted Remain. I'm not a person who thinks that people who voted Leave, you can tag them with one particular comment. I just think that this is.
You think it's about immigration and false ideas.
I just think that the idea of this second referendum, if we're already in a situation where people are struggling to believe politicians, if their politicians then turn around and say, yeah, I know you voted for it.
It's best out of three or something.
But we're better, we know more than you.
There's two things to say there on this. One of which is that legally a second referendum in the way that this one online is being called for can't happen, because it's asking for retrospective legislation, so i.e. calling into question the terms in which the original referendum took place, and that's not something that's going to happen legally. It can't within this country. So whilst we can look at ways of blocking Brexit or trying to navigate around it, and that's the kind of thing that Tim Farron I think is exploring, that route is just not possible. I think the 3 million plus signatures on that petition are testament to the fact that people are very unhappy. People do wish that it's a decision that could be kind of reversed. So
80,000 of those signatures do come from people in the Vatican City. Yeah. So there is a suggestion that certainly some of those signatures. But again, I think that it's not just this petition. The story, the 1.1 million Leavers regretted their decision, but equally in that story, there's Remainers who regretted their decision. So if you equal it out, it would still remain in it. I just think that there seems to be lots of people trying to find this way, and I'm all for trying to find a way to make this work.
And also, the thing is a democracy, so you get to vote for what you want. It's sort of like the country's spoken, even though it's not maybe what we wanted. They were saying, right, actually want to be out of the EU, so you can't sort of go, oh, well, loads of us didn't agree with that, so...
I think what people like Tim Farron are arguing is that the basis on which the Leave campaign was argued, and I think this is to an extent true of both sides, but the kind of facts that were put forward and the opinions about what was going to happen were so manifestly misleading, and the promises that were made, we've already mentioned the NHS pledge of 350 million, I think, and Farage's immediate backtracking on that. So I think the argument is that actually people have made a decision, but it's not based on an informed choice, and that the parties haven't served us well.
because literally from when the result was announced, they are backtracking on the policy and everything that they promised. But I don't know what it would make us look to the rest of the world if we had a second referendum.
I think that this is, again, I think these are all very fair points, but this is based on the fact that we have a control that I don't think we have. I just think that at the moment that it's dangerous to say. I mean, I think if we talk to each other like a parent and a child, we're never going to solve this. And I think that if a certain section of this society is seen to turn to another section of society and in any way say, we know better than you, or we know more than you, so we're going to do this. You don't understand. If we go approach the thing and say that people don't understand or fully understand what they're doing, I just think it's dangerous. I think the very focal point of this is that we need to make sure that moving forward, if we've raised any kind of issues, we need to address those issues before we go back again, because then we're just going to have the same issues again. We need to get people on side. I don't pretend to have the answers, but I just think that telling a group of people who are fairly agitated that they just didn't understand this. Now, I agree, yeah, these lies have been there, but personally, I didn't need a vote to know that NHS figure was debunked. It was debunked all the way through. The message didn't get through, so I don't know why the message would get through again.
But I do think it's very problematic, because a lot of the kind of media coverage of this has been very polarised, and it feels to me as though there have been some publications that have tried to give a more balanced view of things, and others that have been very extreme in what they were promising and what they were saying was going to happen. I think also, there was an interesting comparison made, kind of comical in a non-comical situation, but to the Boaty McBoatface situation where the public voted.
Oh yeah.
And the overwhelming choice was for Boaty McBoatface.
Boaty McBoatface, I think it's a great name.
Well, it was decided that it wasn't going to be called that. And I think, there's this sense in which, well, if the decision can be taken away from us on that level. I'm not actually suggesting that should be the case. I think it's an absolute travesty the way that the campaign was run and the way that people were misinformed. I think the Lib Dems position is a really interesting one, and I don't know whether it will either put them in a strong position come the next election, but actually the next election might not be until 2020, depending on how things fall out. And if so, who knows where we'll be by then.
Right, well, I'm on to the third story of the evening, and it's a complete flip reverse. It's nothing to do with Brexit, and we're heading over to Texas. So a Texas man, I won't do the accent, was fined for driving 39 miles per hour in a 30 zone, which is pretty crazy. He decided to vent his frustration at his $212 speeding ticket by paying entirely in pennies. Brett Sanders called the charge extortion, and he wanted to make the government work for the money. So rather than pay in the conventional manner, Sanders poured over 20,000 pennies into 2 pairs of buckets and emptied them onto a clerk's desk. When my fine came due, I decided I may as well pay with pennies and we'll make a big spectacle of it, Sanders told NBC in Dallas, Texas. It felt great. It felt really great. I mean, we're all secretly applauding this guy, right? Or do you think it was a petty retaliation? Or what do you think? Good on him. What's your decision over here in the studio? Should he have tipped his pennies all over the desk for it?
I feel sorry for the poor clerk.
I know.
You think, like,
make it rain.
That's not that poor guy's. He's not the one that's issued.
Take my money.
You could just imagine these coins going everywhere.
Well, technically there must be a limit on how much you can accept in coins.
Well, at Coinstar in our state, you would not be allowed.
So you would, essentially, if I was that clerk, I'd be like, right, I can take $4 in coins, and then you're going to have to take the rest away with you.
There's a legal tender in the UK for how much you can give, but I don't know if that's the same.
I in a past life answered complaints for an estate agency firm. Ooh. And we had a gentleman who said he wanted to pay his £700 fee, and he said he said that we'd been quite particularly difficult, so he was going to be as difficult as he could with us. So he said he was going to pay his £700 fee in the form of pound coins, but he was going to put them in full jars of honey. So he was going to deliver £700 coins in jars of honey.
What?
Now, I wanted him to do this.
Just to see if it's possible.
I mean, I was
Challenge.
still there when it was resolved. I wanted to see him do that because I wanted to see if this man fully understood exactly how much more than £700 he would have to spend to get £700 coins and enough honey and jars.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about the actual volume.
And again, let's not get onto the whole like world starvation problem of like, you know, like putting that much honey. But yeah, I think that the people I mean, once you get to a certain, I have a certain amount of respect for anybody who goes to such lengths, because this man must have gone to such lengths to get this money.
Did he actually do it?
But
I don't know whether he did the £700 coins, but this man, the gentleman in America, he must have gone to.
They're incredibly heavy. Coins are incredibly heavy. I have a number of friends whose new saving technique is they're mostly guys, but whenever they have coins in their pockets, every time they get home, they empty those coins out into their pockets because they think it's just loose change. You just have it on you, and I'm not joking. They have saved hundreds of pounds, not in that long a time.
You see, my husband does do that, but he puts it on the side and I just steal it. Basically, he's like, "Where's that change?" I'm like, "What change? What change? There's no change."
Exactly. I only know when my partner's found money because I can hear her go, "Mine," and that's it. But it could be 5p, it could be 20p, it could be anything.
It could be a button, anything. Anything is a blessing in these dark times.
My lord. As long as it's chocolate buttons.
Well, apparently, you know, talk about chocolate, like Freddos are going up as well.
No, see, now this is, I'm
genuinely heartbroken.
I'm a really gullible person, and the day after Brexit, somebody told me
it was 87.
No, chomps were going up to 68p. Now, I didn't notice the fact, what a weird price point, 68 pence. Yeah, but I was like, no.
Well, I would be surprised.
Now, and all flippantly, like, immigration and economy all aside, but you make me pay 68p for a chomp, then we're going to fall out. I mean, you are a cretin if you do that.
This is going to go on long into the break. Don't get me started on chocolate. But like I've just said, it's time for another break, but we're going to be back in a couple of minutes, so have a cuppa and come and see us back on the Daily Rundown.